Let's talk. I'm with Tommy Flash Morea, and I'm gonna ask him some questions. So he had an after hours club, and he said on Anthony Vigiano's podcast, reformgangsters.com, plug, people were up on cocaine. They didn't have the energy drinks that we had now. So right now, I worked full time in the fitness industry. A lot of trainers are jacked up on basically what's cocaine between Adderall and energy drinks and 5 Hour Energy. Do you think that the world of cocaine and after hours party, how would that be different if the pre-workouts and all these legal stimulants were around then that are around now?
Well, the big difference is, so you drink a 5 Hour Energy drink, you might get a little cranky after the 5 hours,
right,
and go buy another one.
Right.
When people came down after cocaine, they were either shooting someone to get more or doing something bad.
Right.
So the biggest thing, I think, there really isn't crime associated with 5 Hour Energy drinks. Yeah.
Maybe. There's a lot of exhaustion. Well, let's say people ran out of cocaine. Was there an alternative or something that they would get up?
No, well,
what would they do?
On a serious note, that's where things would get bad, when people ran out of cocaine.
Right.
Young girls, guys, if they knew someone else had cocaine, they'd rob them. They just would be going crazy for the cocaine. And it was never a good situation. So picture trying to have a nightclub full of people trying to get more cocaine.
Yeah.
It's a little hairy.
Well, it sounds like a good business model. I mean, you supply and demand, baby, right?
Yeah, if I was selling the cocaine, but we didn't.
If you were selling, you should have.
Well,
you should have. I should have been your business manager, and you should have been selling.
We had another set of rules.
Okay.
Maybe if you were the boss, it would have been different.
Yeah, there's a lot of bosses, so it's like, to kill someone, you can't just do it, As someone who's half cat, I can go out and I can scratch anyone, I can kill anyone. I don't have to ask anyone for permission. Like, how many people you have to ask for permission? Let's say you see this guy in the corner right here in this gray suit across the room. You might know him. What if you want to take care of him? Like, how many people you have to get approval from? It seems like a lot.
Well, it's definitely a corporate model.
Okay, like how many people?
Procedure.
Yeah, could we understand some of the procedure?
Well, all kidding aside, it's like any other rules.
Okay.
Sometimes they're bent, and it was more prevalent back in the 70s and 80s where something would happen, you killed the guy, and you could explain later.
Right.
But as the law increased and laws changed, and they really frowned on just going out and committing murder.
Frowned upon, but was it just a frown?
It's not a moral thing. You got to remember, when you go to ask your boss for permission, then he's got to ask his boss. That's two people now involved in a murder conspiracy.
Right.
So that's where it really comes from.
So wouldn't it be better to just not ask anyone and not get any bosses involved? And just do it?
If you wanted to commit suicide.
Oh, okay. Did you ever feel like you had put yourself at harm's way by doing some type of task? And you thought maybe you were in trouble?
You're talking about whatever you're doing, you're putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
And I made a comment too. So my boss asks me to do something, I have to trust him.
Right.
That what we're doing was sanctioned.
Right.
What we're doing is approved. And I don't know. Maybe it's not.
So you have to have a bit of trust.
They have to trust you, and you got to trust them.
Yeah, that wouldn't work for me.
You got to remember, I can't question anything.
I feel like getting married would be more.
You say put yourself in peril? Yeah, all the time.
Was there any one or two things that you just lost sleep over? I actually caught myself sleeping with one eye open. Someone threatened me, and I thought they were going to kidnap me to make it true, some really sick thing. And I caught myself literally sleeping with one eye open. Was there anything that you could share with us that made you sleep with one eye open? Or scared to shower? You thought someone was going to bust into the shower? Or is it all the time?
No, listen, you got to remember, you sell it to yourself. Okay. You sell it to yourself, you lie to yourself that what you're doing is right.
Okay.
There's no problems. It's the only way you can live that life.
Right.
If you got to look over your shoulder, you can't. I mean, but I'm only human. There are things that make me panic.
Like
when my mother ran out of rigatoni one day. I didn't know what to do.
What happens when she runs out of rigatoni?
I felt like the guy's trying to get coke. I was going all over trying to find rigatoni.
Maybe you could learn to make it. Teach a man to fish.
No, I could make it. There was no rigatoni in the house.
But you could make it. You get some flour. You figure out.
You
right?
Quite the homemaker.
Be a little rigatoni maker. Maybe if he was a rigatoni maker, he'd be less scared.
I wasn't that resourceful, so that put me in a panic.
Okay. Well, speaking of resources and people you were around, you talked a lot about this Tony Lee guy, which to me is very interesting because I live amongst the Chinese now. My neighborhood is 70% Chinese. Now, did you know that back in, I guess, the 80s, you were pretty groundbreaking for bridging the world of Italians with the world of Chinese, working with Tony Lee?
It's funny you say that. I'm going to tell you how much it's changed. So, like, when I first started, even though it was supposed to be secret and everyone knew who everyone was.
Okay.
It was your responsibility to know. This way you would never put yourself in a bad position or disrespect someone. But it got so bad, we actually had a dispute with a guy, and he was with a guy, an older guy, a friend of Tony Lee's actually. But the younger
also
guy...
Also Chinese?
No Chinese.
Oh.
Tony Lee was not Chinese. But if you let me finish the story, there was a few people who thought that. So anyway, the guy comes to see me. I explained to him I would have to go back to Tony Lee and see what he wanted to do. When he went back to his boss said, "What happened?" He said, "Nah, we don't got to worry about it. He's with a Chinese guy."
Interesting.
His boss was at a wedding with Tony Lee about a month later, and Tony Lee said, your guy came to see Tommy Flash. What happened with that? The guy started laughing.
Oh my God.
He said you were a Chinese guy.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me of when I was going to have, I thought I was going to have surgery. I saw 13 doctors for something that disappeared. By the way, I could blame the pharmaceutical industry on that. But I went to the first doctor, and it was Dr. Lee. And a very pretty black woman with dreads walked in, and I said, "Oh, I thought you'd look different." Well, that was the one diagnosis I was given that was really gruesome. I don't think she liked my comment. So never assume someone is Chinese based on their last name. But, we should know that. So anyway, speaking of thinking things we shouldn't speak on, and you probably shouldn't speak on that, I heard you say that if you don't have personal experience with a person, you generally don't talk about them.
I believe that.
And that's pretty much my rule, too. People ask me about what do you think of this, and even if I've had a conversation in private, off the record, no cameras, for an hour, I still don't know that person. And trust me, you still don't know me. So what do you think of all these people that have no experience with our hero of a president, President Biden, and Kamala, but they have lots to say? What do you think of people speaking on politics and political figures and celebrities they never met?
I think that's a different criteria.
Okay.
Because as a citizen, you do have a right to say.
Okay.
Those people... You got to get back to the basis of the government. They work supposed to work for us. We vote them in and we vote them out.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say.
Right. Do you really think we vote them in and vote them out?
Well, I says we're supposed
to.
That's how it was supposed to be.
Right.
I'm not a constitutionalist, but I think that's what they had in mind when they drew it up.
Well, speaking of someone who's bent the rules, and I know I bend rules. I learn the rules so I can break them in film production or health or everything. I mean, do you have faith in the medical system and in politics, or do you have faith in the rules after everything you've seen?
Okay, so I'm very fortunate. My son, he played hockey for the Chicago Blackhawks, totally legit, but he has my way of thinking. I say like the administration today, everything they do, I approve of.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay.
But I'm a criminal.
There we go. I'm like, where's the joke?
And I know everything they do is a diversion.
Right.
I know when I wanted to commit a crime, I would say, look over there.
Right.
If I wanted to, you understand?
Yeah, for sure. Why do you think I'm dressed like this?
Everything they tell you got to look behind it.
Why do you think this whole thing's set up with flashing lights in your eyes,
Yeah.
Wink.
I'm not a big fan of this.
I know. I don't really like the bright lights either.
Everything that comes out. So, you know what? Too many people, but I think it's starting to change. They say, listen, you said it's not raining, but every time I go outside, I get wet.
Yeah.
And people go out, nope, it's not raining.
Right.
But you're getting people say, listen, I'm wet. I don't care what you say.
It's like the opposite.
I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Even people that stood in the rain for weeks at a time.
Right.
are starting to say, no. It's raining. I'm getting wet.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing.
It's like the opposite of my dad. Every time I ask my dad to go for a walk, he says it's raining. I said, I'm outside. It's not raining. So maybe my dad's like another form of the government. All right, you said to keep things light, so I'm not going to do that. Well, there was a murder, and you've talked about this, so if you talked about it, that opens a door for me to talk about it, but you can cut it off.
Remember, the only thing we talked about has already been...
It's already been out, right.
Tried, and
right.
It's been through the system.
So I gut fish, and, I have a lot of gory pictures of me gutting fish, and we do that, you don't want to eat the guts for whatever reason, but maybe I should try eating the guts. Why would you strategically gut a human before throwing them in the Atlantic? What's the reasoning for that?
So, historically in mob movies, they talk about cement shoes and you put a chain around.
Right.
What you really need to do, what makes a body float, is the air in the lungs and the gas in the stomach. So if you puncture the stomach, you release the gas. You puncture the lungs, you release the air.
Interesting.
It's not really gutting the body. You put a hole to release air and gas.
Oh, okay.
And the body will never float.
So you don't have to do like a whole Dahmer thing.
No, listen, that's for the press. They make it more dramatic. And it's really very,
Yeah, Dahmer.
Actually, Tony Lee taught me that.
Tony Lee? Where's Tony Lee? Tony Lee?
Tony Lee's dead now.
Well, yeah, but maybe he's around you. Do you ever think that, people that you've done favors for, maybe gone against, that they're around you looking over for you, or maybe not looking over for you? You ever think like that?
No, you know what? I try not to think too much.
I mean in a positive
way. I keep my
way.
life simple.
Okay.
As long as my hair looks good, I met my goal for the day.
Your hair looks
and
good.
That's it.
The glasses is good. Skin's good.
That's it.
And rats. What are your thoughts on rats or people that snitch?
Okay, so everyone, first of all, it's an individual. You just can't put everyone in the same class.
Exactly. There's all type of levels of rats.
There's all different circumstances.
Yeah, and why you would be pushed to rat.
Like when I grew up, a rat would be someone who got in trouble and told about someone else what they did. They had nothing to do with it.
Right.
There's all kinds of situations. Look at my situation. I went to jail. Obviously, I participated in the murder. I never said a word.
Right.
I lost my family, everything.
Wow, never gotten back?
20 years later, Tony Lee and Anthony's father are dead, and now people get brazen. Someone decides to rat on us about the murder.
Is that 2008?
Yeah, 2008. That was 20 years later. I went to jail. I never said a word.
No.
So now people say, so now what am I going to do? Because now someone wants to rat on me, I'm just going to... I went in and I said what I did. I didn't testify, I didn't go on a witness protection. I went in and said what I did. Mm-hmm. So is that cooperating? Yes.
Right.
So, like I say, every situation's different.
Definitely.
Guys get ratted on. What do they do? And then, what happens is there's a subculture now. Guys that talk about rats all the time. Mm-hmm. I had an old timer tell me, watch the guy that's always talking about rats, because he probably is a rat.
Interesting. Well, it's like people saying, oh, you're cheating, and they're the one cheating. That's kind of similar rule.
Do I condone it? Do I say, I just think every case is different.
Now, you might have scared a lot of people in the past. This will be my final question. What are some things that scared you in the past, and what are some things that scare you today, right now, aside from me, because, I'm so scary. Now, actually, I'll go on to that later, but I'll let him answer.
Well, I'll give you a heartfelt answer.
Okay.
Then I'll give you a light one. I get scared when my children don't know what's going on.
Like in the world?
Yeah.
It's very hard to know what's going on.
But that's a scary thought to me if my children are blind.
It's very hard to be blinded, right?
My children are grown, so that scares me. It always did scare me. I always says, listen, life's full of ups and downs. You're going to face adversity. As long as you always know what's going on.
I always say, as long as you know who you're dealing with, then you can kind of deal with them. But that takes a lot of intuition. Takes a lot of know-how. And also, right now, we're being fed so much disinformation, as we always have been, but now people are just talking about it.
You need to know what's going on. You can't go by words.
Right.
You need to really say, well, they said this, but that's what that really means.
Right. Right.
Okay, and then something that scares me just personally.
Yeah.
When Bumble and Bumble runs out of texture cream for my hair.
Is that what you use?
About discontinuing it. Yeah.
Is that what you use, Bumble and Bumble? I used to use Bumble and Bumble.
I use all Bumble and Bumble products.
Oh, I used to use their straightening.
Bumble primer, Bumble texture cream, Bumble thickening shampoo and conditioner. How's that for a commercial?
Are you sponsored? You should be sponsored by Bumble and Bumble.
I just made a pitch.
You should. All right, any final thoughts for society or tonight, Halloween weekend? Anything on your mind you'd like to share?
We're going a little on the... I'm going to go a little on the citizen side and be a good person.
Okay.
I think, here's my statement.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're way past. Doesn't matter what race you are, what your sexual orientation is. I really believe that. I got gay friends. I know a couple of trans people. My point being, there's good and bad.
Right.
Just because you're gay, that doesn't mean you can be an asshole.
I thought you could be an asshole as long as you're trans. It's not the rule.
Well, the same thing too. Trans, be a nice person.
Right.
I respect nice people.
That's what my grandma
Doesn't
says.
matter what you are.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're there yet.
Would you like a piece of catnip?
No, I think you're out of your mind. You're scaring me. I gotta go.
I will say this, right before we walked in, I did say this too. I think it was Pasquale or Anthony, that you, Tommy Flash, on record, is, I think, the only person to scare me in the last several years. Now, yeah, I get scared of people, strangers in the streets.
I scared you?
And going places. But no, we were taking a picture after the last show, which is the one show I ever bombed at stand-up. The audio wasn't right. And I'm not 100% blaming the audio, but we'll talk about that another time. And I went like this. I gave him the bunny rabbit, and he goes, "Oh, you fucking give me the bunny ears!" And I was like, "Oh shit," because I always know the line, and I'm pretty damn good. It's almost never that I jump over it and can't come back. And I was like, "Fuck." I was like, this guy wants to kill me because I gave him bunny ears. But then he's like, oh no, I'm just kidding. And I said to my boyfriend, I think I said to Anthony, I was like, I was actually a little like scared. There was a 1 or 2%. I was like, this guy's not kidding.
I'll let you on a secret. If you listen to the video, my first wife, I married her because she was tougher than me. I felt safe. I'm a lover,
yeah,
not
I did
a
hear
fighter.
that. Why did she make you feel safe? That'll be the real final. Why did she make you feel safe? What was it that she did?
She was tougher than me.
Why was she tougher? What?
She was physically tougher than me.
She was bigger?
Not bigger. She took kickboxing. She just was she's a beautiful girl. She just had a lot of fire to her.
So you wanted to feel safe? That was something you looked for? Consciously and unconsciously?
Yeah, no, because I was a lover, not a fighter.
Oh.
So she helped my image.
Oh, okay.
I'm only kidding. She wasn't that tough.
Well, thank you very much, Tommy Flash.
All right.
And so it was a pleasure. Very
nice
entertaining guy.
You
can see you more. Well, I know you can see you on reformgangsters.com. Where else can people find you?
Right now, we got nothing going on. How I got on the show with Anthony was a reunion, and right now I just enjoy being with him a little, but we'll see what happens.
Super fun guy, very motivating, doing a lot of good work for mental health.
I'm very proud of him.
And you kind of fly under the radar. You don't even have a Facebook, right?
No.
I knew it. I respect that. I like people better who don't have Facebook, but unfortunately I need it.
I'm a very private person.
It's good. You're so private, you're doing this interview with me.
Well, no, like I said, I committed to Anthony.
Yeah.
And I said I'd come, and that's it. But as far as anything else, I don't know.
Well, I find you very entertaining, so hopefully we'll see you doing more.
A screenplay's been written about me and my son, so
there we go.
We're actually working on that, and hopefully that'll go in production in the next year.
Nice.
But as far as these shows and this genre, like I said, Anthony's we go way back.
Is he your boss? Is he your new Tony Lee? If Anthony says you got to do the interview, that's why he's sitting here. Anthony. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm just joking.
I said on one of our shows we got a bond.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of people who did what we did.
Yeah.
And it's dysfunctional. I'm not saying it's right, but we're bonded. And,
And
but
you can
I'm
go
not
forward and do
particularly
great things.
fond of doing these shows and talking about guys. And
right.
It's just.
I hear you.
And listen to me. That's great. People want to do it, and people find entertainment.
You're here now, so you can talk and do about whatever the frick you want.
Yeah, but I'm just. I rather talk to someone like you, and I enjoyed this.
We talk about running. We talk about mints. We can talk about whatever.
And then it's really hard to talk about yourself too.
Is it?
To do these shows. Yeah. Well, now I did this, I did that.
Right.
And if you notice, me and Anthony, we talk more about going out, shopping.
Right.
The murder was like, all right, we talked about that. Like, all right, you know.
Shopping?
Where everyone wants to hear about murders and this, and we did this. And
You know, I'm going to give you one final question. So nowadays, 3 things that you love to do that just make you happy. And that's my final.
Shopping.
Shopping.
Cooking.
Yeah, you do have great style and good skin.
Thank you.
And cook. What kind of cooking?
I cook everything. As a matter of fact, for the first time this weekend, my son eats very healthy. I made a bone broth. That's my first attempt at it.
Nice. I got to do
Stuff
that.
like that.
Very nice.
Listen, and that's it. Pretty simple. I like to look good and feel good. That's it.
It's working, you guys. Well, thank you very much, and you have
Thank
fun
so
at the
much.
party.
You too.